What's up, folks? It's your buddy Fatalroadie. Tonight we're going to be doing a Raw recap. We started off with Roman Reigns coming out to the ring. We then have a recap of Roman Reigns announcing about his cancer being in remission, and Reigns and Rollins saving Dean Ambrose. Reigns says that last week was a comeback, and that tonight in Philly, we're taking back his yard. Reigns hints at another shot at the Universal title, and then calls out Seth Rollins. He comes out, hugs Roman Reigns. Rollins gives him props about beating cancer, and says that if anybody deserves a shot at the title after he wins it at WrestleMania, he'll get his shot. Reigns says while he was gone, there was one person that kept everything in line, and that was Seth Rollins. He then tells him good luck, and then asks Rollins for a favor. Seth replies, anything? And Roman Reigns then says he wants to get the Shield back together. Rollins says anything but that. Roman then goes on to a speech saying that nobody is guaranteed tomorrow, and that he wants one last shot with the Shield. Seth Rollins relents and says he's in. Roman Reigns calls out Dean Ambrose. He comes walking out to the top of the stage, but before he's able to say anything, Elias comes out from behind and smacks Ambrose in the back with a guitar. Reigns and Rollins run up to the top of the ramp. They help Ambrose up. He shrugs him off and then walks backstage. We then have our first match, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre versus Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, and Finn Balor. I really hope you like rest holds, because that was pretty much most of this match. Lio Rush interfered in a bit of this match. Bobby Lashley got the spear on Finn Balor and got the pin. After the match, the heels beat down on the faces, finishing up with powerbombing Finn Balor into the steps. This was an awesome match. Our next match then is Natalya versus Ruby Riott with the Riott Squad at ringside. This is really nothing we haven't seen 15 million times before. Natalya gets the pin and runs out before the Riott Squad get hold of her. As Natalya is walking up the ramp, once again we have a Lacey Evans drive-by. I really hope they have something in mind for her, and hope we're not going down another Emelina route. We then have a recap of Batista beating down on Ric Flair. After that, we have a wasted time with Stephanie McMahon backstage with the host of Weekend Update from Saturday Night Live, who apparently are going to be guest hosts at WrestleMania. Whew, can't wait for this one. Yeah. Triple H comes out to address the Batista beatdown. Triple H starts talking about Richard Flair, which is Ric Flair's real name. He then goes on to run down Batista, telling him to grow some balls and show up. He ends this segment saying, "You want my attention? You got it," slams down the microphone and walks off. It's later announced that Batista and Triple H will meet face-to-face next week. So like I said, I'm guessing they're going to be meeting at WrestleMania, being that Fastlane is this Sunday. We then have a recap of Becky Lynch getting arrested and Ronda Rousey laying down her title. Backstage, Stephanie McMahon announces that the suspension and the charges have been lifted from Becky Lynch, and that she will be facing Charlotte Flair at Fastlane for the Raw Women's Championship. Which kind of brings up a small question. Both Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair were both on SmackDown, and I know Becky Lynch was facing Ronda Rousey initially, so she would eventually be going to Raw, but I don't know. Well, it's WWE, so let's throw all logic out the window. Anyways, we then have a tag team gauntlet match with Heavy Machinery, The Ascension, the B-Team, and Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I'll just save the whole bit of time. Heavy Machinery ran through the whole gauntlet to win it. It's then announced that Torrie Wilson will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. What? And earlier tonight we had Roman Reigns approaching Dean Ambrose to talk about rejoining the Shield. Ambrose said that he didn't have time for it, he had to prep for his match. And then after the Hall of Fame announcement, we have Seth Rollins walking up to Ambrose, asking him about rejoining the Shield. He says no can do, he has to prep for his match. Which is next, Elias versus Dean Ambrose. This was an match. Ambrose went to jump from the top rope, caught a knee from Elias. He then hits the drift away and pins Ambrose. Then Rollins and Reigns come out. They get into the ring, trying to get Dean Ambrose to rejoin the Shield. Ambrose storms off and walks up through the crowd. Then Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre come out. Corbin says what they're doing is pathetic. Drew McIntyre runs him down and says that they're going to end them now. Lashley, Corbin, and McIntyre surround the ring. They jump in, start beating down on Roman and Seth. Then Dean Ambrose runs down through the crowd, gets in the ring, and Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns clean house. Seth and Roman call for the Shield fist bump. After a little bit of pacing, Dean Ambrose puts his fist in, and the Shield are now reunited. Which to me makes this whole thing that's been going on for the past couple of months really weird. With Dean Ambrose saying that it was Reigns' own fault that his cancer came back and all that. Okay, once again, WWE logic. The Shield are back. We then have Sasha Banks versus Tamina. And for my own little recap, they're supposed to be facing each other at Fastlane. So I'm thinking next week we'll have Tamina versus Sasha Banks. Called it. It was a match. Tamina won. We then had the Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet for the Raw Tag Team Championships. This is looking to be a pretty good match. Shortly after the match started, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable come walking out, so I guess you can think what's going to get ready to happen. Everything was going good, and then Bobby Roode and Chad Gable beat down on Scott Dawson, causing a disqualification. Then Rude and Gable get into the ring, start arguing with Aleister Black and Ricochet. A fight starts, and Black and Ricochet fight them off. So my guess is either going to be WrestleMania or Fastlane. We're going to have a triple threat match for the tag team championships. Rude and Gable versus Aleister Black and Ricochet versus the Revival. We'll just have to see when that happens. We then have our final segment of the night where Stephanie McMahon comes out to have Becky Lynch sign a hold harmless agreement for her match against Charlotte Flair at Fastlane. Stephanie recaps Ronda Rousey relinquishing her title and then introduces Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch signs the agreement. We then have the cameras cutting backstage where Ronda Rousey is storming through the arena. She comes out to the ring and demands her title. Stephanie McMahon gives her title back and then says at Fastlane, Charlotte Flair will face Becky Lynch, and that if Becky Lynch wins, it'll be a triple threat match, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey then goes on a tirade, I guess this is her going heel now, and then attacks Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. She continues her attack on Becky Lynch, putting her into an armbar numerous times. Charlotte Flair tries to sneak into the ring but jumps out every time. Ronda Rousey stands on top of Becky Lynch's head holding up the title. In an interview backstage, Stephanie McMahon tears down Ronda Rousey, and we close tonight with Ronda Rousey up on the turnbuckle holding up her title. For a go-home show for Raw for this pay-per-view, this one really wasn't good. It was way too talky. We had way too many recaps. Apparently WWE thinks we have the memory of a goldfish. It wasn't really all that good. The only high point I could say tonight was the reuniting of the Shield, and that's about it. Once again, hopefully SmackDown will be better. But that'll do it for this episode of Raw Recap. I'll be back tomorrow for the SmackDown review. Leave a comment down below what you thought of tonight's Raw, what you thought of this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. I've been Fatalroadie. You've been awesome. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.